So the nostalgia critic is again wrong. So this time I want his penis. And I know what you're thinking. How will he pee? Just as Enoch's. Out of his ass. And I know what you're thinking right now. How? Well, I just explained it. But you didn't see or hear the explanation, as it is so shocking your brain refuses to accept it. Also, I agree with Captain Logan that Magneto moving all the panels around was really strange. I mean, I guess they connect to the machine and how you contact people, but this was never explained. We never saw panels being moved before, so that was confusing. The character development is fantastic. They have all the important characters from the first one back. They are consistent, even more likable and even deeper. And the characters that could still be further developed are, and the fully developed ones get fitting attention in the second place. And new characters are added, almost all of which are deep and relevant to the characters from the first film. Wolverine, the principal character of the first film, is even deeper and more likable in this film, and consistent with the first film, and he's further developed, organically adding to the first film. He's still angry, confused, and a bit of a loner, worried and violent, and now also sadistic, but he's also still caring, warm, and now friendlier, relaxeder, more open, supportive, helpful, idealistic, and a team player. He goes to the military base but finds nothing and goes back to the Xavier. He decides to further bond with the mutants, and at the same time tries to have Xavier unlock his memory. Xavier doesn't want to forcefully make him discover things, since he is fragile and it could destroy him, since it is a very dark past. He's frustrated to still be confused. But at the same time he also sees that he's very glad to see Rogue again, and that this actually also means a lot to him, and that he still doesn't really want to be alone, and that this can really comfort him while he doesn't have any answers yet, and that he shouldn't allow search for his answers to distract him from that, and he tries to combine the two. But when he's restless, having nightmares of the past, and he can't sleep, he sees he can get support of the X-Men, with a kid asking him if he can't sleep and comforting him on the matter by explaining that he can't sleep either and by sharing his problems with him. And then Iceman discusses his problems with Rogue with him, and he sees how he can also serve as a means of support to them, to all of them, not just Rogue. And Iceman cools his soda, and he sees how they can really have friendly, warm contact, and Iceman can really comfort him with his problems, and this really gives him a purpose, and this is really not something to fear, and it is really a meaningful, purposeful existence. And he sees that when he's confused, he can get support of the X-Men, and he becomes less confused and less worried. Then when Dimension's attacked, he immediately fights to protect them, and he becomes vicious to save them, and he wants to stay behind to learn about his past, almost leaving the X-Men for good and almost endangering his own life just for answers, because he's still very obsessed with them. Then he meets Stryker, who can reveal his past, but when his friends won't leave without him, he goes with them, deciding that they are more important. And good, because Stryker is an asshole. And I know what you're thinking, what, another left-wing joke? No, it is just he disliked one of my videos. Douche. Then he goes to Iceman's house and feels a bit uncomfortable amongst normal people, but he relaxes a bit due to the support of his friends and due to the fact that he sees that there's still nothing really worrisome about a family life. Then when the police shoot him in the head, knocking him out, he stays calm and he just goes with his friends because he doesn't want to become violent and aggressive again, since it only leads to escalation, and he now realizes that he wants to protect his friends first. And then, when he discovers Stryker does experiments on mutants, and also did experiments on him, and that he was experimented upon, he feels very frustrated, and he's stubborn, wanting to lead the mission. And Mystique even questions what he wants, but he decides saving the people is more important, and leads the mission. Then once inside, he goes to look for Stryker, and he learns he was indeed experimented on in the facility, and he goes after Stryker and claws him, wanting to torture him, and wants him to tell him of his past, and Stryker reveals he had a violent past, and he worked for him and his cruel plans, and tries to tempt him to follow his cruel ways once again for answers, and offers him to come with him. But then when the area is flooding, he chains Stryker so he can't escape, in case they will die, and he decides to live, and he decides he no longer wants to follow Stryker's evil plans, not even for answers, because he doesn't care for such a dark past, since it's only painful, and it will just cause him to become evil now once again when he serves Stryker, and his friends are more important, and he instead wants to look for the future and save his friends. And then when he sees Stryker chained up who acts like his answers are worth more than a mutant boy, he once again chooses his friends over Stryker and permanently becomes a member of the team and truly finds a purpose in them, because he sees he can help them and make a difference for them, they can support him, and he can make a difference for the world because he now saved a lot of innocent people and he prevented a violent persecution of mutants. And he then even throws his army necklace to him and leaves him permanently saying goodbye to his cruel past and Stryker and permanently becoming an X-Men. And that actually hurts for me. I can remember when I threw my girlfriend's necklace away. Denouncing humanity. No wait, it was actually kind of awesome. No, really awesome. And now stays with his friends. So he's no longer aimless, confused or a loner, and has a goal, is friendly and focused, and is let go of the past, and focused on the future. This arc is fantastic. Instead of just having him let go of the past and not let us learn anything of his past, he also has an arc overcoming all of his problems. He started to overcome in the first film, really deepening his character and forming a double-parter with the first film, thereby creating something even more constructive than a backstory reveal, while at the same time he also does deal with his past, and at the same time we do learn of his past a bit. We also do get subtle reveals of his backstory. We learn he was indeed experimented on by the military, and we now learn it was by a general who wanted to kill all mutants, and who used many as pets, and we learn Wolverine volunteered, and possibly lost his memory in the procedure, but I would assume that those attempts failed. Those attempts to erase his memory, which he wanted to do during the procedure. And I think Captain Logan is wrong on this, because Wolverine can't clearly remember escaping after that, or what he did then either, so it would imply they failed to erase his memory during the procedure, and it was erased later. And we learn he was violent and was part of a great project of Stryker, but it still is really mysterious. Why did he volunteer? What project was he a part of? What relationship did he have with Stryker? But we do know he worked together with a very cruel, aggressive general. And how violent was he? Who were his family? What was his life like? What were his dreams? What relationships did he have? Still keeping mystery and leaving room open for continuation in a sequel or prequel. Also, what I think was a flaw is that he leaves Stryker to die. That they don't capture him. I mean, yes, he should say goodbye to his past, but he renounces his violent ways and becomes an X-Men, meaning he would be wise and not act so vengeful nor cruel. This is still acting very cruel and it doesn't fit his chains. I know Wolverine is violent, but he's supposed to have changed here. What adds to this is that the fantastic prequel X-Men Origins Wolverine, yes, I just said that. Yes. So I might as well go all the way here. You know, the fantastic prequel like that other great film, a great ending to the Blade trilogy, Blade Trinity. You know, and it was a great prequel like the Star Wars prequels. No, but so anywho. But so as Wolverine reveals and shows his backstory, which shows him renounce Stryker's ways for the first time and start a new life right before losing his memory and everything he loves. Meaning he had a violent past, as Stryker said, but had overcome it, and it was worth turning his back on now. It shows Wolverine set the step for again breaking with Stryker. Already back then, to completely do it now. When he did this, he refused to kill his brother in revenge, as it would still mean him being an animal. He gave up on that, and his wife didn't kill him either, because it would make her just as bad as him. That was of far deeper change and fitted this better than this, so I think this is a big flaw. Also, what I want to point out is that we learn here Wolverine volunteered for the procedure that is established in X2. Which Captain Logan loves. Logan, I just heard you got a new kitty. Good for you. Rogue, who was almost completely developed in the first film, still grows a bit in this one, while not getting in the way. She is now happy, sweet, relaxed, open, warm, optimistic and hopeful, but still a bit lonely, and she is unable to kiss Iceman, and tries to avoid it. But she eventually does kiss him, but it really hurts him and almost kills him. But she decides she still loves him, and he decides he still loves her. And they still support each other in danger, and bond and become really close and loving and hold hands, while she wears a glove when they are dying. But she still does feel lonely and distant, and she early on acts on her own, saving Wolverine, and later on she and Iceman act on their own, getting the X-Jet to save our heroes. She becomes independent and brave and a part of the team, so she grows a bit in this film, and it is satisfying, but still open for the next film. And Iceman is a great new character. He's warm and relaxed and loving, friendly, open and supportive, but a bit sad that he can't kiss Rogue, and a bit naive and worried and stressed, but brave. And his parents don't know he is a mutant, and he at first doesn't at all want to tell them and just wants to have a normal, relaxed relationship with Rogue, thinking that he can just work his way around all of these problems of having these mutations and being judged for them. But then when he tells his parents, they act repulsed, and his brother even calls the cops, and he permanently decides to leave them and feels lonely, but he sees that Rogue can comfort him, and he sees that his relationship with her is the most important, even when he can't really kiss her. And he sees that his friends are his family when they work together and they protect him. And he sees that he can also help them by acting on his own, along with Rogue flying the plane to save them, thereby making a very brave and independent decision to help his friends and believing in his own skills in spite of what others think of him. And so he becomes very brave and self-reliant. And so he was very well developed and a great new character that added to Rogue's relationship with Wolverine and gave Rogue more development in the relationship department. I did have one big problem with a point Captain Logan made. He said he was happy that a love triangle got diffused between Wolverine, Rogue and Iceman, a possible love triangle that for some reason would automatically be irritating. Why? What makes love triangles irritating? I know he doesn't like them, but what is the objective reason? I in fact debated X-Men The Last Stand with him once, and it is okay he disagreed with me, and he's a great critic, but what I found really unprofessional was that he didn't give an argument against my argument, but said the film just didn't convince him of my argument, even though it was demonstrated in the film, and he said that it was pointless to argue, which is weird because when you claim to be objective you can use logical arguments, meaning someone can logically come to understand a point and change their views, and somebody can logically refute your points, and that if you can't logically demonstrate your points, you admit you're wrong. That's just part of objectivity. You can claim to be objective and therefore be more objectively right, but you can then also be more objectively wrong. I don't mind Captain Logan having a different opinion than me, but I do mind him using opinion as an argument and using opinion in his reviews. Not because I believe in objectivity, but because he claims to be objective. And now if you claim to be objective, you should owe up to that, because the claim gives you a certain amount of authority, which also allows you to be questioned. I think Captain Logan is a great critic, and I don't mind him disagreeing with me, but I do think it's wrong for him to use opinion when he claims the authority of objectivity. And I'm probably guilty of that myself, so I highly urge all of my viewers to question me. And also this will be further discussed in my X-Men The Last Stand review. Also, by the way, stop hitting on my girl, Iceman. Or do you want to become lemon ice? God, even I found that gross when I really thought about it. Storm is also deepened further in this film. We see that she's a bit rough and violent, but also warm and helpful and understanding, and she's still really angry. But Nightcrawler advises her to have faith, and eventually she gets faith in him and in the team and their cause. And Nightcrawler is really dark and complex. He's guilt-driven, worried, stressed and afraid, but also loving and caring. And he is a Christian and looks at his own mistakes instead of others. He's very helpful and caring, although a bit sneaky sometimes. Xavier is deeper in this one also. He is now very mentally advising Wolverine, and also a bit arrogant, not telling Wolverine of his past out of concern. He can't handle it, and very sad that he sees Magneto suffering, and worried, and intellectual, and depressed, but also helpful, brave, and warm. And Jean Grey is a bit deeper in this as well. We now see she is loyal, helpful, brave, and warm, but also worried, but more self-confident and selfless. And Cyclops is still mediocre in this. He is helpful, caring, sad, warm, and loyal, and that is about it.